Hello, everyone. Um, Thank you so much for joining us again on a lovely Saturday. Um, it's it's all beards today. It's me and David. How are you, David?
Hi, hello everybody. I'm good. I hope you can hear me properly. Um, Apologies for not being in my shirt as I normally would be for a lovely open day, but I only found out I was doing this about 2 hours ago, so I had to come as I was. Thank you all for turning up, and look forward to hearing Matt as always. Always really informative.
Here's hoping. So we're going to be talking this week about some of the opportunities that are available to you at Oxford and Cambridge outside of the course. And next week, we're going to be talking about extracurricular activities, but also, that is to say, things that are part of your set of interests to do with your subject, but aren't golf or rugby or whatever. But also we'll be getting into that next week in more detail. So to start off with, I think it's worth thinking about how Oxford and Cambridge are different from other universities, as that's kind of the starting point of thinking about these extra opportunities that exist there. And the first thing to say is that Oxford and Cambridge is, in some respects, much more than a degree. During my time at Cambridge, I was really struck by how much more there is going on there, kind of not more than at other universities, but because you're in such an enclosed space, the opportunity to get involved with everything feels much more immediate. And the sense of a kind of community, particularly inside the college, is something that you get in a way that you really don't get in a bigger university like a King's or a UCL or somewhere like that. I guess the first thing to say here is it's easy to think that a university is, mainly the library, but each college is going to have all kinds of facilities and opportunities that go far beyond the library. If you really want to, you can be doing kind of university stuff all day, every day. I know people who, barely have time for sleep for all the things they manage to get themselves involved in. And while pretty much all these opportunities will exist at other universities, the closeness of them, the kind of number of them, and to an extent the kind of prestige, is something that's really specific to Oxford and Cambridge. So I'm going to start off by talking about the opportunities kind of in the direction of music and sport. The first of these is to say that pretty much every Cambridge college will have its own orchestra. They don't tend to be particularly good at each college, but the university orchestra is really pretty good. And so if you are, a keen cellist or violinist or whatever, there is an opportunity for you to continue doing that, even if you're not studying music, but to continue doing that as something that you enjoy, at almost any level, from the kind of college level right up to the university level. It's also a great opportunity to set yourself up for a career in music. I know a lot of people who study music at Oxford and Cambridge and have gone on to work in arts administration, in promotion and marketing. I even know there was a girl in my year at Cambridge who now directs opera around the world. Seems like a lot of traveling, not really to my taste, but a pretty cool job. And having those opportunities through the university is something that really set her in good stead there. There are also, particularly at Oxford and Cambridge, the university will own some instruments. So if you want to have a go on a particularly good violin, that opportunity will be there in a way that it may not be in other places. I don't know if they've exactly got a Stradivarius, but you never know. You might be lucky. And this goes sort of beyond classical music. There's also a choir. Every college will have a chapel choir, and that's something you can get involved in even if you're not very good. They wouldn't have me because I'm that bad, but it is something that is sort of really accessible to everyone. And many of these groups will tour Europe and sometimes the USA as well, and so it can be a kind of an opening for a career music or just a lot of fun. I don't know when you were at university, David, was a cappella as popular as it has since become?
No, I don't think so. I don't.
Oh, you were spared.
Yeah, we are.
When I was at university, a cappella and there was a lot of ukulele as well. So there was really a wide mix of things. I think it was the fault of Glee, basically. If you remember that TV
Most probably.
show, there were
Thankfully,
always things of that type going on. Yeah, you thankfully spared. But as I say, it's there's more to it than just classical music. Thinking about theatre, this is a theatre at just one Cambridge college. They won't all be this nice, but a lot of them will be. Pretty much every college will have a particular space, a particular theatre space. There will be drama societies, comedy societies. There will be all kinds of stuff going on in that direction if that's the kind of thing you're interested in. If you are thinking of becoming a comedian, then there is a very long-standing pipeline of people going to guys from Monty Python back in the 60s, right up to Mitchell and Webb and people more recently. I was at university with Phil Wang. He's a comedian, hopefully well known enough for someone to have heard of him, but clearly not as famous as Monty. Yeah, good, excellent. I didn't know him, but he was there. And there are, of course, a lot of famous actors who have passed through Oxford and Cambridge on their way into that industry. So it's a great place to meet people, make connections, to have access to these great facilities, and it does sometimes lead on to bigger and better things. And a striking example of that happening are the Oxford and Cambridge unions. Now, these aren't to be confused with the student union. These are basically debating clubs, and there is an unbelievably strong correlation with success in these and moving on to success in politics. These are pretty much unique to Oxford and Cambridge. I don't think they really exist at other universities. And they will have famous speakers coming in. I remember when the French far-right leader Marine Le Pen was in Cambridge and people protested her. It was raining, so I couldn't be bothered to protest her. But you do get to see, and if you are an important person within a union, meet some pretty impressive people. And it is an incredibly well-trodden path into politics. 5. It may even be more, because I haven't updated this slide since all the prime ministers changed last year. At least 5 prime ministers have been involved in the Oxford Union, and I've got a long note here which says that 5 also doesn't take into account Michael Foot, Jeremy Thorpe, William Hague, Michael Heseltine, Michael Gove, Dennis Healy, and Roy Jenkins, who all nearly became prime minister. So that's 5 winners and I think 11 second places, which is pretty impressive, all things considered. So it's not a guarantee, but it does seem to be a good way to get yourself into the top 2. I don't think Liz Truss was a union person, and I don't know what Rishi Sunak did. That's one for me to look up when I update this slide. Maybe we'll have another prime minister by then anyway. But yeah, good to know. At the other end of sort of the scale, from the very dry and indoors, you've also got rowing. Your chance of getting into the boat race are pretty slim. There's only half a dozen people in it. But if that's your ambition, then you should absolutely go for it. But rowing is a really important part of the kind of sporting life at every college. colleges are incredibly keen for everyone to try it at least once, or in my case, once, did not like it. Much too wet, much too cold. But it isn't all as serious as the boat race. Sometimes it is just purely fun, as in the practice at Cambridge of doing back-to-back boat racing, where you essentially chase the boat in front of you. Very chaotic and messy, very entertaining, and as you can see, a great opportunity for a day out for all involved. And if you like seeing people fall into a cold river, which I love to see, particularly if I'm warm and dry, that's a real treat for you at Oxford and Cambridge. But there are sporting opportunities beyond rowing. Pretty much every sport is available to you. Even some odd ones. I know that you can participate in tiddlywinks, which is apparently a real sport. And I expect the opportunities have expanded even further since I was there. If you get to the very top of the university sport, such that you are competing against the other university, Cambridge versus Oxford, then you get a special outfit. I can't say I thought they were very nice, but you do get a fancy outfit, which is called Blue. And the pinnacle of this is events like the boat race, but there's also the Oxford and Cambridge rugby match, which is played at Twickenham, and is something that people take surprisingly seriously. But it's not just about the top level of sport. There's really the scope to participate in anything from turning up as a beginner in the case of rowing. A lot of people will never have even looked at a rowboat, right up to people getting close to a professional level. I think there have been a few minor international cricketers who've gone through Oxford and Cambridge in the last couple of years. So it really does run the full range of things. It's unlikely you're going to become, through Oxbridge alone, an international cricketer, but we can but hope. We mentioned the student union, the Oxford Union and the Cambridge Union a moment ago. There are also more classic student government structures. Every college will have a set of elected positions to take charge of what tends to be called the common room. So the internal student government of the undergrads, and then the same for the graduate students. This gives you an opportunity to have all kinds of influence over the way the college is run, over making sure that students are, getting on well with each other, running the bar, ensuring that there is appropriate, sexual harassment training, that the food is good. One big change at, I think, Cambridge in recent months has been the push by the student union to move towards a wholly vegan menu. All sorts of scope for influencing the way the university is run that way. When I was at Cambridge, I was in charge of the food for my college, which I thought was definitely the best job. And so I spent a lot of time liaising with the chefs and people involved in that process to sort of figure out what we were going to eat. And that was delightful. It obviously had some slightly negative implications for my weight, which I still haven't got off, and that was 10 years ago, but not something I would regret in the slightest. One of the advantages here as well is because each college has these set of institutions, there's a lot more scope for sort of everyone to be involved. It may be that 1 in 10, 1 in 12 people is involved in some part of the student union. And so it's a really good opportunity for everyone to get involved, for it to feel really personal and engaging in a way that at larger universities isn't practical, because there's just too many people. And that goes for student societies as well. If you are looking for things to sort of fill out your CV before you start looking at jobs, getting yourself in charge of something, even if it is only the rugby club or the wine tasting society, all of those things are helpful stuff to put on your CV to show that you've done something more than just read into books, and are really, really helpful for having good examples of what you've developed yourself into when it comes to job applications. Speaking of which, So it's almost like I do these slides in advance and trying to remember what's in them. Many student societies, particularly those related to the profession, so things like accountancy, consulting, law, will have very strong links with some of the top graduate employers. If you imagine it sort of the other way around, if you are at KPMG and you know you need to hire 100 new graduates, one of the easiest ways to do that is to head down to Oxford and see if there are any you like on a Tuesday evening at the Economic Society. These links are really helpful for you when you're coming to look into things after university. The employers will be coming down to the universities and getting involved as much as they possibly can. And it gives you a really efficient way into good graduate jobs by making sure that you can set yourself up with internships, meet the people who are making the decisions, get an understanding of the companies, really sort of begin planning what you're going to do after university while you're still there. They will also provide guidance. You will have often people who are the person in charge of the hiring for a particular job coming down to the university to talk about what they're looking for, helping with the application form, really giving you opportunities to do a really good job of those, as well as having great networking opportunities with the people of like-minded interests and ambitions, your peers. You will meet all sorts of interesting people who hopefully will go on to interesting things. And at that point, you can, get back in touch with them 5 years later and see if they can do you a deal. No one ever wants to do me a deal, unfortunately. So this is a little bit of a shorter presentation this week. So we're sort of getting a little bit closer towards the end, because the next question is, how does this affect my application? Because it all sounds fun and exciting. These are all great opportunities. These are all good reasons to be motivated to go and study at the universities. But where do I put them in my application? And rather than me tell you, I actually have the voice of, this is Philip Knox, who is one of the admissions directors at Cambridge. And we'll hear what he has to say.
So I suppose if you are extremely interested and excited by things that are not related to the subject of English, like sport or music or something like that, that's great. But we're probably not that interested actually in that element of your well-rounded self.
I hope that came through all right for everyone. I really like this clip because it sums up really succinctly one of the biggest mistakes that students make when coming to sort out their applications, because it's really easy to think that all of these, your Duke of Edinburgh's, your grade 8 pianos, all of these things are really important parts of your application. And unfortunately, it's just not the case. They're all great things to have done, but the admissions process at Oxford and Cambridge, unlike universities in the States, is purely on the basis of your academic merit. The fact that you were brilliant at lacrosse, that you were in the Olympics, none of that is going to matter if you're getting kind of mediocre marks. You could be, who's good at the Olympics? You could be Simone Biles applying to study at Cambridge, but if she's got bad GCSEs, bad A levels, that's going to be a big problem, even if she can do like cool flips and stuff. These are all what we've talked about today. These are all brilliant opportunities, but you've got to get in first. You can't put into your application, you can't write into your application to study history, I would like to study history at Cambridge because I want to become a comedian, because they're going to look at that and go, it sounds like you just want to come and be a comedian, which is fine, but we're going to take this other guy who actually wants to study history rather than comedy. They're all great opportunities, but you want to make sure that you're putting the academic quality first when you're putting an application in. Now that might make it sound as though the things you've been doing outside of the classroom don't matter at all, that the only thing you have to talk about is grades. Now, it's not exactly the case, but we're saving that for next week, because that's when we're talking about extracurriculars and supercurriculars. I teased them earlier. I'm teasing them again. Next week, we're going to be talking about how to make those things count in your application. But I thought it would be fun to split it across 2 weeks. It's like a Marvel webinar. You think you're going to get to find out what happens, but actually, no, you have to watch the next webinar, Iron Man 3012 or something, whatever it is. So, beyond producing webinars with lots of sequels, we do a lot of other things as an organization, and I'm going to hand over to David to talk about those for a little while, and then we'll take some questions, and then I will go and watch Arsenal v Leicester. David, over to you.
Thank you, Matt. Fantastic as always. You know, I know a lot about this, having been doing this job for quite a while now, but I always learn something in your open days, so they're always great. Hello, everybody, again. I just want to very quickly tell you a little bit more about our organization. If you missed it, my name's David. I'm an admissions consultant here at UniAdmissions. And essentially what I do is I talk to people on the phone and see if you know, you're qualified to come onto a program with us, so we can help you gain entry to Oxbridge. So if you slide the first slide over for me, Matt. So we have essentially what I like to call 4 pillars that we use to tackle the application process. I'm going to assume everybody can read, so I'll tell you a little bit about what's not on the screen. You will be given expert tuition with a one-to-one tutor. It will be somebody who's taken the same course or subject that you're hoping to take. They would have been to the university, so if you want to go to Oxford, they've been to Oxford. If you want to go to Cambridge, they've been to Cambridge. They've been successful, and they've in most situations helped other students to be successful as well. It is a bespoke service that we offer, private, you know, it's private one-to-one tuition, and therefore focusing in your areas of need. And as it says there, you can have a current student, you can have a recent graduate in the subjects of your learning. And this is where the bespoke element really comes in. And, you know, our programs, you know, you can prepare for interview with a panel of specialists. So we have mock interviews and all stuff like that. But yeah, expert tuition, along with things like a form mentor, who will help guide you on the strategic elements, the super curriculars, which you're going to find out about next week, work experience, and just a general mentor to help you guide you through the process. So we really do try and cover all bases. Right, moving on to the next slide is our resources. So all of our resources can be found in what we call our student portal. We have lots of books, as it says there. It's I believe it's over 120 books.
It's so many books.
So many books.
I've been trying to do some sales analysis for them the last couple of weeks, and there are so many books.
So many books. Now, just to avoid any confusion, because I did speak to somebody about an hour ago, and I mentioned it was over 120 books, and he sort of went, I don't know if my daughter can read 120. They're not all, you don't have to read all 120. That does cover all the different subjects and interview techniques and all of those kind of things. But we do have many things on our portal. Our portal is unrivaled by anyone else. You know, past papers, testing areas, academies, so lots of videos, personal statement drafting, essay uploading, lots and lots and lots of resources on our student portal. So moving on to the third pillar, which is our enrichment seminars. Now, these are generally weekly seminars. Some weeks you will have a form mentor group, but generally you will have a seminar on a Sunday. And put very shortly, and you know what's not on the screen there, these are fantastic interview training. Your communication skills, your discussion skills are really just not something that's developed at school. That's not because it's a fault of school. That's not their job to do that. Their job is to help you with your GCSEs and your A-levels. And so that's where we will come in with our enrichment seminars. We'll help you develop those skills that are desperately needed come interview time. And I always like to think of it, it's like going to the gym for interviews. So you need that weekly practice, you need to build up your skill, and we offer that in our weekly seminars. So onto the fourth pillar, which is our intensive courses. As you can see there, exclusive admissions test and interview focused day courses. We also do offer a one-day course on the personal statement as well. And really these courses are, a final opportunity to take stock of everything you've been doing and to really give you that springboard into the final parts of your application. So fantastic one-day courses. The interview course happens to be a 2-day course, all done over the weekend, so to fit in with school, because I know parents are always worried about that kind of thing. And as it says there, during your interview course, for example, you'll be given mock interviews. They really are fantastic, and really one of the most popular things that we offer.
Thanks, David. The enrichment is particularly good this week, as the medicine one is talking about how to run a clinical trial. Yes. I'm not trusted to run a clinical trial, but I might be able to find out how. I still don't think it'll let them. Still don't think it'll convince anyone to let me develop experimental medicine, but I'm certainly going to try. The other good news is that all of these things seem to work. We're really proud of our rates of success with our students, and we like to think that they compare really favorably with even some of the fancier schools in the country. As I like to joke, we haven't got the outfits of Eton, but we do have the results. Pity about the outfits, though. I think we'd both look great in those fancy little suits they have. If you've enjoyed this webinar, please do leave us a nice review on Trustpilot. If you do, your review will be in every one of these webinars going forward until a new, even nicer review replaces it. So, what better incentive could there be than that? Plus, it gives you a chance to see what everyone else is saying about us, get a really rounded picture of the work we do from the people we work with. You can also listen to our podcast, which is presented by our colleagues Rohan and Will. Rohan is the founder of the company, and Will is one of our most experienced admissions consultants. They discussed everything from admissions tests through to the zombie apocalypse. It's a lot of fun. And I think what we'll do now is we'll take some questions. So please drop some questions into the Q&A section, and I will attempt to answer them. It may be that the questions are too difficult. This does sometimes happen. If you ask me a really difficult question, I'm going to ask that, among other things, you book in a consultation with David or one of his colleagues. The reason for this is a lot of the questions you will have will be particular to you, will have certain complications and nuances to them, and that makes it very difficult for me or David to know the answer without doing a little bit of research, without looking things up. Often students will ask me questions that I have the answers to, but they're in a spreadsheet. I can't look at the spreadsheet and do the PowerPoint at the same time. So any questions like that, please do book in a consultation, and we will figure something out for you that is going to work for your personal circumstances. So please drop in any questions you've got, but if it's too difficult, please do get in touch, and we will try and find you an answer that way, as well as any other questions you might have about the support we can offer. And it's very quiet on the question front today. What I'll do is I'll give it a minute or two while we watch this charming video of how to book a consultation. But I guess if I've answered everyone's questions, then problems. Oh, I thought I'd got away with it. Yes. So a question about universities other than Oxford and Cambridge. Yes. So of course, most of our students are applying to Oxford and Cambridge, but of course, everyone is going to be applying for 4 in the case of medicine, 5 in the case of other subjects, applying for 5 subjects at 5 universities. So we absolutely offer support for those as well. If you're looking to apply to Imperial, to LSE, really anywhere, we'll do our best to offer you the tailored support you would need. And that's the case for all of our students, right? Because no one is, to the best of my knowledge, no one's filling out their UCAS form as Oxford and then 4 empty spaces, right, David?
No, yeah, absolutely right, Matt. Everything you said is correct. I think the best way to maybe explain it to people is that, as Matt said, we have in mind all of the universities that you're applying to. I think the best example is medicine. I know you're not all going to be doing medicine, but I think it's the best example. Now, with medicine, you have 2 different types of tests that you may need to take. At Oxford and Cambridge, it's going to be the BMAT. Almost everywhere else, bar maybe 4 or 5 other universities, you'll need to take something called the UCAT. Our students are prepared for both tests, even though BMAT is the one for Oxbridge. We also prepare them for the UCAT as well. And the same goes for the interview. All Oxford and Cambridge interviews are what we call panel style interviews, whereas most other universities for medicine will do something called an MMI interview. And again, we will train our students for both panel and MMI interview, so that when it comes to test time and when it comes to interview time, you're prepared for everything and everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It particularly goes for medicine. A lot of people have their heart set on medicine at Oxford, but you're still a doctor if you went to Imperial. So it's not, in that case, it isn't worth worrying too much about. And in the case of a lot of other subjects, there are reasons to want to go to Oxford to study PPE, but LSE really isn't all that bad. And so we're more than happy to help people with support across the range of universities they're applying to, whether that's Oxbridge or elsewhere. And again, the best way to get in contact with us to figure out how we can help in detail, visit the website uniadmissions.co.uk/booking. You book in a time and we will phone you. We'll have a lovely chat and we'll figure out what we can do. And Sally asks about sport inside and outside of colleges. So you can do both. Every college will have its own teams for most of your most of your more traditional sports, your footballs, your rugbies, your crickets, and depending on the college, there may be even more diversity among those. And there will also be societies that go across the colleges as well. So it's really for you to pick and choose between. Most of the time there will be both. It might be that at your college, the Shakespeare Society is particularly good, and that's more interesting to you than the college Shakespeare Society, or vice versa. It might be there isn't one at your college, and so you want to go over to the university-wide one. But I haven't checked the listings on the Cambridge Student Union website, but when I was there, there were hundreds, perhaps even over 1,000 different student societies you could join. There are no shortage of opportunities. And if you find that the thing you want to do isn't available, if you're really interested in chess boxing, which is a sport which is half chess and half boxing, why not start a society? See if anyone else wants to play chess and also get hit in the face. It's never appealed to me, but who knows? It may be available. The universities and the colleges tend to be really supportive of these things. So if it doesn't exist, hey, you can write on your CV a year later that you were the founder, the creator, the CEO, all of those things. A great opportunity in itself, as well as getting the thing you were hoping to running. We have been clearly these were some of my best slides because that's all we've had in the way of questions this week. I think I'm going to take this as an opportunity to escape early and go to the shops before the Arsenal match. What are you going to do with these extra 20 minutes, David?
I think quite similar. I will prepare for the Arsenal game. I'm looking forward to it and hoping for 3 points. So yeah.
Here's hoping. And I'd say, as a Bournemouth fan myself, we'll be doing our very best against Man City for you, but I fear it may be out of our hands. They are a bit better. So that's the other reason I'm watching the Arsenal match today, because I'm not holding out much hope for Bournemouth. So thank you everyone who's come along this week. Don't forget the big cliffhanger. We'll be talking in 2 weeks' time about extracurriculars and supercurriculars. Next weekend we won't be here because it's the weekend off. And we look forward to seeing you and hopefully any of your friends that you rope into it then. So I say, have a lovely weekend, everyone, and we will see you soon. Best of luck, David, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Yes. Bye.